This is Slasher here at the end of MLG Vegas 2016. I'm here with NRG's Dummy and NRG's Numlocked to talk about their tournament experience. Unfortunately, you guys were knocked out before the playoffs. You did win a match versus Liquid in a pretty close series, but were unable to make it to the third day of games. It's been a kind of a rough few weeks for you guys in tournaments. So what kind of happened this weekend?
Well, I think the results played out how they should have. You know, obviously I'm not going to make any excuses like we should have done this or that better or whatever. This is really, at some point you just have to accept that it's not a coincidence that we're playing and placing at these tournaments the same way. This is just the level we're at right now. And unfortunately, we're not at the level that people expect us to be, especially having a superstar like Seagull on the team. But there are some times where we're playing as a unit and we're making good decisions and we're making really good plays. But for the most part, we're just not there as a team. Our teamwork is absolutely awful, and it's just like at some point, it's we just have to admit it and figure out where to go from there.
Are there things that you have pinpointed that happened this weekend that maybe you've been trying to work on previously? I mean, you did have a close game against Liquid, but the Cloud9 phase games were not as close. And then, who's the other?
It's just Cloud9. We played Cloud9.
But then they got kind of rolled over by Envy in the grand final. So there is a little bit of breathing room between at least the best team and where you are. What do you think might be part of the issues you're having?
Well, part of the issue is, so this is an excuse. Like I said previously, we are not at the level we should be, and we're doing really badly. So this isn't an excuse, but there is something to be said with play styles, matching up. Like that's always going to be the case, and especially a game like this where there's like a high variance in different ways you can play the game and approach the game. While yeah, you can say the teams or the meta right now is just tanks and tanks and tanks, you still play the game in a lot of different ways and a lot of different styles. And for whatever reason, we do not match up against Cloud9 very well, because honestly, while I will never claim that we could have, beat FaZe, because it never happened, you can never say that, I think we did have a chance to beat them, and yet against Cloud9, it was a slaughter, right? At the end of the day, the best of the best will always still win, and that's fine. So Envy, you can put anything in front of them, and they're still probably going to win, right? But for the teams below them that are still really good, there's going to be a lot of matchup differences and a lot of variables that affect their results if there's a predetermined map pool.
Now, Seb, you just joined the team recently. You've been partnered with Clockwork to kind of fill out the new roster and fill in a new position, too, because you've been playing support for a very long time before that. How has it been for you to kind of come into the roster, and do you think that part of working together with the new team has been part of the struggle so far?
Well, I mean, before I joined NRG, I was main tank for Dignitas, and then I joined them I joined as a support, which coming into it, I didn't really have any expectations of myself, and I didn't really know what to expect of the team. Obviously, I've seen their results weren't that great beforehand, and I wasn't really expecting a big fix either, because when I was told that they wanted me as a shot caller, they weren't specific about what kind of shot calling they wanted. It became apparent that there's multiple styles of shot calling that's needed. Because what we're missing right now is like the big picture. I handle a lot of the stuff that happens in the team fight, so like the focus fires and stuff, which we're still having issues with listening to. But there's still other areas of shot calling which I don't cover myself, which are missing, which the team still needs. And then obviously we tried swapping me from support to main tank as well, because we feel like that's an easier position to main call the focus fire from, which it is definitely when I'm in the main bit of the fight, but we're still missing the big picture stuff.
I mean, how much longer do you think that will take for you guys to get it together? Is it a time thing, or do you still think there needs to be stuff worked out in terms of either positional plays or calling aspects?
I think it's a bit of both, because learning a new shot calling style is a really difficult thing, because it's something that it's not really something you learn, it's just something that you're comfortable with doing. So like for me, for example, the focus fire shot calling works because I'm just a vocal person. I'm really loud in game. It's really easy for people to listen to me. And I've got quite a commanding voice in game. Whereas for someone that does the big picture thing, you need quite a lot of patience and to always be you need to be quite a passive player to be able to think about what's happening in the next fight and the fight after that, and that sort of stuff. So I think some stuff needs to change within the team in terms of how people are looking at the game, and I think we also need to kind of figure out who can actually handle the big picture stuff.
I mean, NRG, especially coming into Overwatch, professional scene, is looked at as maybe the biggest star power team for a long time. The expectations have been quite high for you guys. Do you believe that the expectations being high have affected the results at all?
Yes and no. I think at the beginning, our egos were actually too big to even care about them. We just thought we were amazing, and like who cares? Like who cares what Reddit says? Who cares what these people say? Like it doesn't matter. But after you start losing, you know, it could get to you in a way. I wouldn't say it just affects us or affects our decisions, or, you know, I'm not sitting on stage thinking like, oh my God, like Reddit is saying, like, of course I'm not, like, it's not going to affect me like that. But like, it's like, you know, it's kind of like a wake up call. You read it and you're like, you know, maybe they're right, maybe we're awful. But, you know, it's kind of odd because it's like, it's a weird position because I realize we're in the position because we have a lot of stars, or mainly like Seagull. But at the same time, it's like, so let's say if we're a certain caliber of team, like maybe we're like tier 2 team or something in NA, or whatever you want to call us, why aren't any teams in that tier also getting as much hate as us? You know what I mean? Like, if that's the level of play we're at, does that level of play need to be criticized that deeply with every team of that level? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of odd to me that we get so much hate. And I mean, I guess maybe just a lot of people care and a lot of people want us to do well, or they expected us to. But it's definitely unfortunate that that's kind of like how we're perceived right now, is like we're just absolutely terrible and there's just no hope for us and we should just disband, when really it's like we're struggling just like any other new team, and there was no like automatic, like we're just going to be like world champions, right? Like we're not going to, you know, if anyone could just put a team together and just win, like everyone would do it. That's not going to happen for most people. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of like trial and error, and we're just not there right now. Or maybe we need to figure something else out. I don't know, but I do think there's a lot of undeserved hate. The criticism is fine, but hate, like it actually just seems like pure hate. You know what I mean? And I think that's definitely unfair.
I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, really, with the fan base that the team has. On the one hand, when things are going well, there's a lot of love. Like the fans are really passionate and they really do care about the team. But then the hate is kind of overly excessive, and it can get to you. It can get to you.
I mean, part of it, looking from the outside for this team that's kind of unique to the other teams, that you all know each other for a very long time. All 6 players now having come from the Team Fortress 2 community. Do you believe that it's possible that this might be a detriment at all to how things are going?
I mean, I can see it being interpreted that way. I can see people, you know, kind of. I actually think the main thing is people actually overanalyze what, like, they try to, you know, pick apart everything about us and then try to tie that into somehow that's the reason we're bad or that's the reason we're not doing as well. I mean, I can kind of follow that thought process. Maybe we just have like. We need a fresh perspective, like that's what people might think. Like we need a fresh perspective that isn't from TF2 that maybe might help guide us. But I think a lot of our issues are just very rudimentary things, like very basic, like fundamental gameplay things that really doesn't have anything to do with what game we came from. And on top of that, I think if anything, the history helps us a lot. Like it's not like we're just like a bunch of friends and we're just having fun and like we're just hanging out. Like we're 6 people that knew each other from TF2, but we weren't best friends in TF2. We respected each other and played against and with each other in TF2, and we can be on the same page as a result.
Anything you want to add?
I mean, yeah, a lot of people will just see it as, you know, bringing friends into the team and a team of friends trying to just having fun, as Tim said, but we put a lot of work in, you know, that we're playing a lot of solo queue, we're playing a lot of scrims. It's just because we're friends doesn't mean we're not also giving each other criticism, and we're not also hard on each other for mistakes that we're making. There's a lot of love that's going into it for the work aspects.
Now, I've been part of that harsh criticism on your team that might be unwarranted, at times. But I think there are still a ton of fans out there who want you guys to succeed and want to see you do well and want to see you win. I want to give you opportunity to be able to talk to them and say whatever you'd like to.
Well, I mean, we work really hard, and it's it's not going to stop here. We're just going to work really hard, and hopefully we fix everything. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, and obviously I'm just not at this point. Not to sound like a little depressing, but I'm not going to make empty promises like, oh, don't worry, guys, like we got this. But just know that we are working really hard, and we're not slacking off. We're like Seb said earlier, we're solo queuing a ton. We're watching so many VODs of ourselves and other teams. We're spending all day, every day, dedicated to improving. So, at some point, obviously, if that's not working, we need to figure something else out. But we're dedicated to showing you guys something better.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for all the positive comments and the encouraging words and even the criticism, which does, help at times. And just to echo what Tim said, we are putting a lot of time into this. We are working really hard. We're not happy with where we are at the moment, and we want to see an improvement, and we want to be the level that the community and our fans are happy with.
Well, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Seb. I am sure that community will get the team that they always wanted to see. This is Slasher at MLG Vegas 2016. Go to Yahoo Esports for coverage of the event all weekend long.